Hey everybody, this is Tony.
And this is Paul, and we are headed out on the road for the Friends for Life podcast world tour. So let's hop in the car and get going. Making sure that individuals are reaching the goals they have set for themselves. That's one of the many goals of Assured Health Services. If you're looking for a residential care provider or searching for ADS services, Assured Health is your go-to place. Assured Health, helping others succeed. Learn more at assuredhealthohio.com or call 419-442-8066. Welcome to the Friends for Life podcast, both of you. How are you doing this wonderful day?
I'm blessed and thankful.
There we go.
Doing good.
That's what I like to hear. So, word has it, you two went on a little trip recently into a special little place called Washington, D.C. What was that like for you?
It was really cool.
I'm going to use the word adventurous.
Adventure.
Yes.
So it was
And a learning experience.
learning experience. Exactly. Anytime you travel, it's a learning experience. What did you learn specifically on your adventure out there?
Now, this is a two-part question.
Yeah.
So, are you talking about on the flight part or after the
Let's
flight?
start with the flight, because that seems to be a good place to
Yes.
begin the story.
Well, I can tell you that Dayton International Airport staff do not listen to you're laughing, but I'm so serious.
I believe
They
it.
I've
do
flown
not
many
listen
times.
to specific instructions because, well, first of all, let me back up and say I am a graduate of the University of Vermont Lind program, and in the Lind program, we have a curriculum where we have where we're supposed to learn about disability and policy. So there is a seminar called the Disability and Policy Seminar that individuals are supposed to go to in person. Well, they ended up not having anyone be able to go, but I ended up being able to go because I received, when you are a participant in the LIND program, and it stands for Leadership, Education, Neurodevelopmental Disabilities. When you are
The students in that program, are you talking about the stipend that you should have received?
I'm trying to think of my specific title. When you are a self-advocate trainee, most individuals have live on a fixed income budget, and because of me living on the budget, they had to pay me my stipend, and this is about about a $4,000 stipend.
So most students who are in the LIND program get a stipend for taking all of the classes, but because
Yes.
you receive SSDI,
SSI.
okay, you weren't able to collect the money like everybody else did in your class.
I
all the other
had to
students.
take it. I had to get the maximum of amount that an individual can receive, and that is no more than $85 in a month.
So that it didn't mess with the benefits you were receiving. So she had this lump sum of money that was sitting over here. So the LIND program paid for her, and
So with that being said, we came up with a plan that we would use my stipend money to pay for me to go to the Disability and policy seminar.
Gotcha.
Now comes the education. Well, now comes back to the question
plane?
that you
Yeah.
asked. So we arranged, everything was arranged. We left here on March the 27th, and I actually almost did not get to go on the trip because Dayton International Airport staff, well, no, not the airport staff, the airline staff that we took, did not listen to the accommodations that we'd asked for. I used a piece of equipment called a sit-to-stand Sarah lift, which is a piece of equipment that allows me to stand on it for transferring purposes. We gave them this specific information with everything that they asked for, measurements, and all different kind of stuff. So when I went to get on the plane, I wheeled down to the opening of the plane. They put me in the aisle chair. I almost slid out of the aisle chair because me being a big person, they did not make sure that I was secure in the chair. Second of all, they put us on a small plane. They had to re-accommodate a passenger because they wanted to put a physically disabled person in the back of the plane, and they had to re-accommodate a person that was in first class because the plane was too small, and that was the only way that I was going to get to go because the aisle was too small for me to even turn the corner. So when I say it was a very adventurous part of the trip, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So
That's
then,
a very kind way to put it, too.
So then,
You made it into DC, and then what happened? Trying to get to the hotel.
oh, our adventurous journey continues. So then, we get to the DC airport, and I find out that they take my chair off the plane and they disconnect the battery from my chair. What? So I was literally stuck in the airport for a long time.
You were there for a couple hours.
To make it more interesting, I almost had to spend the night in the airport. But that wasn't the reason. The reason was because when I travel, at the time, I have to take a large, the Sarah is not a compact piece of equipment, and then I have to take a shower chair.
And your power chair, so having an accessible van to get from the airport
and
to the hotel.
Whoa.
It took so long for me to get from the airport from the plane drop-off part to the part for me to get a accessible vehicle, that it was about 2:00 in the morning before me and my staff went to bed. Then,
But you made it.
yes,
Yeah.
we finally made it. Okay, then the journey continues because the next morning, I wake up to take a shower. I get out of the shower. We roll me out of the shower, and then guess what? The shower chair wheel breaks.
Oh my goodness.
And mind you, we are in DC for 3 days. So, I don't even remember how.
I think we taped it, didn't we? And we made it work until you could get back home.
I don't even remember how I took a shower the other 2 days because it was literally unsafe. So I
If
can't
you use
even
tape,
remember.
was it duct tape? That way, I
Yes,
mean,
we.
Mindy got you hooked up somehow.
And I thank God for Chelsea's boyfriend because she went to his house and borrowed his duct tape to be able to.
We had a couple things. So she had a group home staff that was with her who she's roomed with. I was off site and just got to come to the conference every day. So I had a vehicle there, so I had a lot more wiggle room to kind of get out and get stuff, whatever they needed
Gotcha.
to try and help.
And she went to his house and borrowed the duct tape. And thank God that she did, because I don't know how that shower chair would have came back today.
But what a cool experience. Like, I know it was crazy and wild while you were there trying to make everything fit and work together.
Yeah.
And being in a big city, how different is that compared to what we're used to here in Dayton, Ohio?
Okay, now we'll switch to
Part
the
two.
education part of it. We went and we learned about the process of how bills work, where the SSI penalty process is.
I would like to just talk about, like, you took such a bad situation, how you don't, because you receive SSI, you couldn't be like every other student in your class. You had these stipulations that you couldn't do. But you took that and you got to go to, of all places, Washington, D.C., where big decisions are made and big things happen, to say, this sucks. Like, it's awesome that I get to be here to attend this, but I'm only here.
Sucks that I don't get to do, let's say, what Chelsea, as a mother with a disabled child, gets to do. She could take half of that money and put it on her and her child's vacation, but if
You weren't allowed to use that money.
no,
But do you want
And-
to talk about the second part about the marriage? You got to talk, those were your two big focuses about.
yes, I got to talk about how the marriage penalty, and if they change the marriage penalty, I will be one of the probably million of people that will be able to see my future wedding.
there you go.
Because in May, it will be 4 years that I will be engaged.
And, you know, it's interesting that you bring that up because we have some individuals going through that kind of scenario and they have to figure out, like, do we continue to work? And how do we work? And how do we do this without the loved one being penalized? So having your voice is very much needed.
And that's a struggle that we go through. It's, do I want to lose my benefits? Or do I want to lie on paperwork? Because if me and my fiance right now got an apartment to where we could live together, we would literally have to be roommates on paper. Because, and it really sucks because GDPM, which stands for Greater Dayton Premier Management, they won't allow us to be on each other's vouchers, which is rent subsidy assistance voucher, won't allow us to be on each other's vouchers unless we are married. But because of the marriage, unless they change the marriage penalty, we will never be able to be legally married. So we will be legally married in the sight of God, but we won't be legally married on paper.
Yeah, that's a struggle right there.
So can you explain what the marriage penalty is for maybe people who don't understand that?
So
Me.
the marriage.
There's a lot of terms that we learned as we went.
So well, I've known this for quite a while, but I'm gonna do this in example terms.
Okay.
Let's say Paul and Chelsea are married. Paul has cerebral palsy, and Chelsea has to take care of Paul for the rest of his life. And if they were to get legally married tomorrow, they would take Paul's check because Paul's check is more than Chelsea's. So basically, they take one person's check and you only live off of one person's check.
Interesting. That's not good.
And with the way cost of living is, there's no way that you and Chelsea can live on
One check.
$912 a month. There's no way.
Yeah.
And it also affects like your health insurance and all that kind of stuff too, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, not to mention, yes, you're physically disabled. You have Medicaid, and if you don't have SSI, you don't have Medicaid. You don't have Medicaid, you don't have your waiver. You don't have waiver, then Chelsea has to take care of you all by herself. So that means she got to figure out how to assist in taking care of you, figure out how to work, figure out how to go shopping, and all of that all by herself.
On a reduced budget. Goodness, yeah, that
On
sucks.
$912 a month.
There was
Because
a lot of people.
it just got raised as of January 1st.
So they're making baby steps. We've come a long way, and look, we were talking. They talked a lot about like the history of the ADA and everything like that. We've come a long way,
But there's still a long way to go. And
You're only allowed to work so many hours.
This is the biggest change that they've made since
I can't remember. It was like
80 something.
Yeah. That they've made any kind of an increase. It's been the same. I think you're right. It was somewhere in the 80s maybe that they set this budget limit, and it hasn't been adjusted for the cost of living or anything like that. So there was a lot of people at the conference who said, like, I would love to get married. I would love to work out in my community, but I'm only allowed to work X amount of hours so that I don't go over. Because how can you when you have medical and different things that you have to look at? So it was really cool that you got the opportunity to go and like have your voice heard.
If you're looking for top-notch professional painting in the Toledo area, check out AB Perfectionist Painting. They're Better Business Bureau accredited, fully insured, and waiting to help make your home and business shine with a fresh coat of paint. We use them right here in the Friends for Life studio, so we feel confident in this recommendation. Follow them on Facebook at AB Perfectionist Painting or call 419-906-1627 to get started today.
I have an article that I wrote for a class project that
That was the
Chelsea will
stipulation, right?
Chelsea will let you see.
That you had to kind of write up like what you did, the different seminars that you attended while you were there.
No, I'm talking about the one on where I wrote
about
a
your
personal story.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can send that to him.
Yeah.
Well, we'll make sure that our audience sees it. We'll have it plastered, boom, right there.
Yeah, so they can see. It's a specific story about how SSI and the marriage penalty, well, how SSI affects me today.
Why it's important to you.
Which is very, very needed because there's tons of people, as you said, going through this and they don't know how to maneuver it. And it sounds like you've already been through a lot of the struggles to give some decent information.
Yes, because back to the journey of DC, even though we had fun, it was the accessibility was still a major issue. Now, I will say, coming back to Dayton, even though I had to take the journey way back because I ended up having to leave DC and go to Columbus because they didn't have a direct flight with a big plane.
You wanted a bigger airplane, so flying into a bigger airport was a lot more conducive.
My staff had to literally drive from Dayton to Columbus. Another staff had to drive from Dayton to Columbus to pick us up. But
it was a teamwork effort, huh?
Yes, and the good thing is we got back to Dayton earlier than expected. So that was a plus.
Yeah.
And I will say it went much smoother coming back than going because Columbus people listen to specific information.
Well, I feel like I've flown quite a bit, and I feel like the bigger the airport, the more accommodating they are because they have more resources. These smaller airports, there's a big difference between flying out of Toledo and Detroit. Toledo Airport is like the size of this room, and Detroit Airport is like the size of this whole building complex.
I'll probably be your pilot at Toledo. And I don't
It could be. That's
Hoping
terrifying.
for the best.
Yeah.
So what major takeaways did you have from your DC trip? Whether it was from sitting and learning or just the travel, what was some of the stuff you learned?
I can say that I think there's still a lot of advocating that needs to be done. And training, because first of all, I think there needs to be some amendment to the rules about the first class seating. If I was in any airline, I would not make those seats expensive, and I would
Only
offer
we
them.
could do that.
I would offer them first to physically disabled and elderly people, especially if they are a large or semi-large person like myself. Because for them to have to give Paul first class treatment and another seat because they didn't listen when we told them we were going to need first class because I had a physical disability, to find out that they had to do this at the last minute. And mind you, we probably worked on this a month before we had to leave.
Oh, yeah. So
There's a lot of moving parts that kind of all go together. And
Yes, and this was a very detailed conversation with the people in accessibility services. We told them this is what we're gonna need, and they were like, well, we need measurements of the shower chair. We need measurements of her Sarah. We need measurements of this and also for you guys that don't know, if you travel with a power chair that is high, that sits up high, I would also recommend that you put notes on the chair for how they are to handle it, because as you heard about the bad experience with Dayton disconnecting the battery from my chair after I told them how to handle it. Columbus did a very good job. And I think also one of my recommendations would be to have a wheelchair, what do you call them? The wheelchair, place, a wheelchair place close to the airport, near every airport, because staff a lot of times don't know how to fix a wheelchair. That's why it took maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours for
For some side
mechanic.
one of the maintenance people to sit there and figure out how to reconnect.
So I think you said a learning experience. A lot of people, because of all of the issues you faced, a lot of people, and especially electric chairs, don't travel. So the flight, attendants and staff at the airports, you don't know what you don't know. If you don't know how to use a power chair, it's this big machine that you'd have no clue. So learning experience all the way around,
And also training on how to transport a power chair is a very big thing as well. Well, I'm going to say transport a chair that is not that is other than a manual chair.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm also trying to get word to Medicaid office in regards to this, because let's say my chair did get totally messed up where I couldn't get in it, then then okay, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
My chair's messed up. It's my responsibility to make sure that I get from the airport.
But that all got worked out, right? Your chair's in good shape, you're in good shape.
Yes, thank the Lord.
And now you're also on a podcast in which we advocate for these type of changes. This is the stuff that
Thank
we
you.
want to hear. You are welcome.
Thank you. And we need probably about 9,000 of advocating like this, because
This is just one more way that you can advocate for the things that
we
are
need
life-changing for you, what make a big difference in your life.
Because unfortunately, as it was just said, people don't know what they don't know. And a lot of people, I've been blessed to be in this field since I was a kid. I'm going on 20 years that I've worked in the field professionally. But ever since I was 8, 9 years old, I was attending dinner dances and all kind of other events. And I was used to seeing people like yourself in chairs, and I would be on the back of them, spinning around and having a great time.
And I have, to this day, I have my friends' kids riding on the
Taking a
back,
ride,
having fun. And speaking of having fun, as a matter of fact, next Friday at 6 p.m., I will be going to the Tim Tebow Foundation prom.
Let's go.
Yes. Yes.
You gonna stir up some trouble there?
No, I am not a troublemaker.
That's right. No troublemaking. Wink, wink.
Yes. So, talking about having some fun, yes, sir. I will be having fun.
What kind of music do you like?
90s R&B, 90s hip hop.
Ooh, okay.
And modern gospel.
Amen. Hey, you had me as soon as you said 90s R&B.
Can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong.
And I'm also going to be hopefully doing the Special Olympics bowling
Oh, nice.
tournament
Right.
That's coming up soon too.
on the
I couldn't tell you the date, but it's coming up
February-
soon.
No. I was going to say February 4th, but no, it's after that because our last practice is the 4th.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So
THS Remote Supports is clearly focused on improving independent living through dynamic and personalized services. Their systems have been carefully developed and perfected to ensure that everyone receives the best care through the least intrusive means possible. Located in Cincinnati, Ohio, they've spent over 20 years providing in-home supports to individuals with disabilities. If you or someone you know is looking for a remote service provider, go to thsrss.com or call 513-882-9088.
important question, I think, is, why is it important for other people to self-advocate rather than letting other people advocate for them all the time?
Because you know what you need. No one knows what you need better than you. Now, I'll use Chelsea as an example. I may tell Chelsea what I need, and we together can figure out a plan on how to advocate together. But Chelsea's never, without me telling her, and I'm going to tell you, Chelsea's known me probably since I was, known about me since I was probably
We go way
in
back.
high school, but we've had an adult relationship probably since I was
10 or 15 years. We go way back.
maybe,
But I don't know. I'm not in your shoes, so I don't know some of the things
unless I tell her, hey Chelsea, this is what I need help with. She's not going to be able to go to one of our representatives and say, I have a client and this is, no.
Yeah.
She's not going to be able to do that without me saying, Chelsea,
this is a
I need
problem.
help with advocating for transportation. And this is true. Unless I tell her stuff like that, she's not going to know. So that's why I'm saying, if you need help,
Even like navigating the streets of DC, there were lots of sidewalk grates. And instead of going across, she went over and asked some people nicely to move out of the way. And I thought, well, why'd you do that? This area was clear. She's like, well, I'm in a 200-pound chair. I don't want to go over the grates in the sidewalk. And I didn't
would've
know. I was
occurred.
asking why she went over and said, hey, can you move? You're very sweet about it. But I was like, oh, that's weird. But like, I didn't know that.
Right.
It made total sense once she told me.
because not to be funny, but if I tip over, that's an automatic
It's a big deal.
non-emergency call.
But even something that simple as going down the street.
And I
didn't know until you told me, and then I was like, well, duh, that was...
Yeah, literally, if I tip over, it's an automatic non-emergency 911 call because it's going to take strong upper body strength men to, first of all, figure out how to bend down and reach my seatbelt to get it off, to
maneuver,
get
yeah.
me out the chair, and then to lift the chair up
But I think
off
that's...
of me, and then to pick me up off the ground.
Yeah.
So even though she was looking out for my safety, I look out for my safety first.
That is a very good way to put it.
Yeah, and well, what advice do you have for people who might be a little too scared to speak up for themselves?
Don't be scared. Don't be scared, because you're not going to get what you want. You're not going to get what you want, what you need. And I'm telling you, I'm going to give you some very frank, personal information. To be honest with you, I would not be here today if it weren't for some support people in my life. Trying to get my numbers correct. Where I was, I think, a freshman in high school. Growing up, I didn't have the accessibility that I needed. And so I planned to drown myself.
Oh, goodness.
And I was right in your shoes, afraid to tell anybody about what was going on. And my high school teacher was like, don't worry, I got you. And she told me what to do. And without that encouragement and me following her directions, I would not be here today. I would not live in my own apartment that I have lived for 4 years as of March the 1st. My mom would have she would have been burying me instead of me, unfortunately, have to bury her almost 3 years ago. So, again, I'm going to say, don't be afraid to speak up and advocate for what you need, especially if you got a good support system. Because if you don't, you're gonna be miserable.
But you've learned to advocate on every level of your life. You wanted to live on your own, so you lived on your own. And then you realized that your apartment, the door wasn't accessible. So she advocated to her building to be able to get a handicap button so that you could get in and out. Every step of the way, you've learned to speak up and how to do it in a professional way where they hear you.
Yes, and also I have the supports I need to, and we'll send you this right up too. I have the supports I need to help me get what I need.
Does it get tiring having to advocate all the time on every level for everything you do?
Yes, but you know what? Yes, it does, but no, it doesn't. Because in the end, I get what I need.
That's the spirit right there.
I get what I need, or I see a change coming. Because just like she said, we're not going to go into this, but I literally had to file, and I did not know this. I was in a accessibility discrimination case and didn't even know it for me to get my automatic door opener on my apartment door. But I have the support from people at Miami Valley Fair Housing Center that helped me through the process. That is why I have a stable account with a couple $1,000s in it.
There you go.
That it will not affect my benefits.
Your benefits, yes.
You've made a couple friends along the way as you've learned to advocate for the different things that you need.
And that's important.
Yes, and I know people in Columbus that I can call right now and say, hey, me and Chelsea, we trying to do this and we need your help.
That's what I like to hear.
So, yeah, don't be afraid to advocate. And, by the way, if you need help,
she's your girl.
Yep. My contact information will be posted on the website. don't be afraid to contact me because I'm an advocate, but I also am a resource person.
That's what we like to
You
hear.
like
Awesome.
helping everybody
Yes, because
onto a new
if
challenge.
I don't help people, we're not. If I don't help you, you're not going to get what you need. If Chelsea don't help me, I won't get what I need.
We got to help each other, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So Chelsea, how did you start working here? I mean, where's your path lead?
So my family's always been, my mom worked for the board. So growing up, I kind of grew up going with her she ran the emergency shelter years ago. So that was always just a part of life. In high school, I worked in the peer tutoring classroom. And as soon as I graduated, I started as a rec aide here with DDS and kind of worked my way up. And 12 years later, here I am.
Awesome. Well, that's awesome.
I love it.
Yes.
And she now is the assistant director to.
I just do recreation. I'm the assistant rec coordinator.
Right.
I appreciate it, but
Yeah, I was getting ready to say she's the assistant.
we get to do the fun stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we like
and
the fun stuff.
hopefully here soon, if I can do some convincing, I can get us back in person.
We're working on it, girlfriends.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
What do you guys think about playing a little game show? Does that sound fun to you?
Let's do it.
What's the name of the game show?
It's called Rapid Fire. Ooh. Yes.
Okay,
You ready for this, Latisha?
we'll see about this
All
because I've never done this, so we'll see.
Oh, it's going to be fun. Maybe a little embarrassing from here, Paul, but nothing to really worry about. What are we doing rapid fire? I ask you 3 questions. They're set in a would you rather scenario. So the quicker you can answer them.
Give me an example.
Would you rather?
Just give it. Just
Yeah,
go.
I'm just gonna go
Just
in.
Do
Let's
it.
do it.
Would you rather have a pause button for life or a rewind button for life?
That's difficult. Because I
Pause.
could actually have both.
You get. Oh, look at
You
that.
gotta pick one,
You gotta
girlfriend.
pick
One or
of
the
them.
other. That's the game.
Do.
I will have a rewind.
The rewind?
Rewind.
Okay, I like
All
it. Would you rather have a full phone battery or a full tank of gas?
Tank of gas.
In this case, full phone battery.
Yeah, we can always try to get an Uber or something. Or lastly, would you rather get a paper cut for every sheet of paper that you turned or bite your tongue every time you went to eat?
Ooh. Paper cut.
Paper cut.
Yeah, I'll go the paper cut route too.
I'll never read another book again. Does Kindle
Because
count?
Your ears bleed
biting
every
my
time.
tongue will be sore and it might bleed. So
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No one wants to eat blood with their food unless it's a
Right.
nice steak. It has to be the right kind of steak.
I don't even want blood with my steak.
It's called juice in the steak world.
Terminology helps.
Yes,
Yeah.
right.
So, I really think what you're doing is awesome. It's really, I love when people advocate for themselves and they go, I travel a lot. I can relate. It's a big pain in the butt sometimes. And I don't even have any special requirements. It's just a pain to travel.
Yes.
But the thing I learned is that all the stresses and all the stuff you have to deal with, that's just part of the fun of the adventure. It's just part of it. Every time you travel.
It can be very stressful because I literally, when I came back, felt like I needed to go on a
Vacation.
literally on a fun vacation and do nothing but have adult drinks and chillax. Me and Chelsea and my former manager Mindy needed to go have on a fun vacation and have nothing but adult drinks and chill.
That sounds like a good time to me.
Yeah, I
There
am
was
not
none of
mad at
that in
that.
DC.
Nope.
No.
I'm talking about after we returned, we needed to go
Yeah.
to like Florida or something.
It's like when
for
you
another week and do nothing
Yeah.
but adult drinks and chill.
It's like when you take a vacation, you need to take another day off
vacation from
just
your
to
vacation.
take a break. Well, I want to thank both of you so much for coming on this podcast. I mean, I learned a lot. Our listeners are going to learn a lot. Our
Yes.
viewers are going to learn a lot. Do you have any last closing remarks you want to share with the people? And if they do want to get in touch with you, you're more than welcome to share some information. That's totally up to you.
What audience are we reaching?
Anybody in the DD field.
Because I have an announcement.
You go ahead.
Oh
and give
man.
me-
You heard
I
it here
want to
first.
make a big announcement that has to do exactly with what we were talking about. There is getting ready to be the best time that you can have your voices heard. If you are in Ohio, we have what's called Advocacy Day at the State House. So if you have something important to you that you want legislators to know, or there is a problem that you want them to know about, and you want to give some input on how to fix it, we have a day that is specifically for us to do this. It is March the 1st from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the State House in Columbus, Ohio. And if any of you want to meet me in person, I will be there.
It's highly recommended to meet you. in
Yes.
person as
Yes.
Yes. We love her.
One of the
So-
best advocates around.
So,
Absolutely.
I would recommend that you check the Ohio Disabilities Council's website for registration information, because yes, you do have to register. And I will tell you this. It fills up fast, so if you really want to do this, you need to keep your eye out for the registration form and fill it out as soon as you see it. Because this is a very popular event and it will fill up fast.